Good morning. Welcome to the Fun Side of Business podcast. I am one of your hosts, Nick Hampton.
And I'm your other host, Gemma Addison.
Good morning, Gem.
Morning, Nick. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Great, as always.
How's your weekend been?
Really nice and peaceful, nice and chilled.
Guess what?
What?
I don't know when this is going out.
Yeah.
But 31st of Jan's just happened.
We've completed it.
Boom, completed it.
Completed
Done.
it.
Amazing. Anyway, right. Obviously, people aren't here to talk about tax deadlines. So
why not? It's
our
such
guest-
an interesting topic.
Our guest today, or this week,
Mhm.
now, shall I drop teasers or shall I just tell everyone who it is?
Drop teasers.
Although,
love
admittedly,
the
if they
tease.
have clicked it, they've probably seen the picture. So they probably already know who it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, without further ado,
Let's go straight
insolvency expert, business salvation supremo,
Wow.
Gary Rayner.
Whoa,
It's not really. I just thought I'd test you. Gary Rupping. Great. Morning, Gary.
Morning, Nick. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Well, a bit cold and wet, but other than that, it's all good.
And at least you now know you're in our top two favourite Garys.
There you go. I'm
we go.
top two.
Yeah.
That can't be
I'll
bad.
take that.
I'm not saying that you're
I'm normally in the bottom two, but other than
There we
that,
go.
you're mentioned in the conversation. This is good. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Gary Rupping is, as far as I'm concerned, he is the most senior person in McTeer Williams and Wood, even though he isn't. But he is the most
To us, yeah.
the most senior that we know of anyone at McTeer Williams and Wood, and a generally all round nice guy.
Yes. He brings us cakes. So
And he doesn't even know about this, but I've got some stories to tell about Gary as well. But we'll come to that later on.
oh wow,
Oh.
okay.
Okay, so anyway,
He's done his research.
Oh,
Moving
he's done
to-
his
yeah, but this
research,
is the
has
thing,
He
he?
looks
so,
worried now.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm really concerned.
he won't even know it's coming because he doesn't always know clients I refer to him and stuff. But anyway, okay, so moving swiftly on. Gary, you are now today probably in the area respected as one of the best business salvation experts. But obviously you didn't get there from, 12 years old and going, this is what I want to do. Although maybe you did.
No. Nobody sets out at 12 years old, I want to become an insolvency practitioner. I've got to say this. I don't know many people who have said that. I'm
Do you-
pretty sure that is the odd person that's like that.
Do you know, when me and Jen were driving here, I said, I wonder if you want to do that from school. She said, no one want to do something like that from 12. And I went, I want to do accountancy at 13. Sorry
He
about that.
literally, Nick said it, admitted in the car. Yeah, I left school at not left school
Yeah.
at 13, but at 13, I wanted to be an accountant. I was like, okay.
Yeah, moving swiftly on.
No.
Okay, so airline pilot, fireman,
Airline pilot.
Nice.
Not airline pilot. Fighter pilot.
fighter pilot.
Got to be a fighter pilot.
Obviously.
Obviously. In the South African Air Force, not the greatest Air Force out there, but there you go. But I wanted to be a fighter pilot.
They're known for good rugby, but not so much their Air Force, right?
That is very true. Very, very true. Very, very true. So I wanted to be that's what I wanted to do.
So is that where you grew up, South Africa?
I grew up in South Africa, sunny South Africa. And you can take Africa. You can take the boy out of Africa. You can't take Africa out of the boy. I want to say
I
that.
love
I love Africa.
Mhm.
It's a brilliant place. If you've never been, you need to go.
Yeah.
It's just, I love going home.
Yeah.
It's just, I'd say balances me a little bit. 'Cause
Yeah.
you have all the craziness that goes on here and busy running around, and you go there and it's just
Is it just calm?
just chilled.
Yeah.
And also you see human beings at a different kind of level, if I put it that way, because you get poverty there, but you also get happiness.
Yeah.
That's the interesting. You'd assume they haven't got a lot of money, they won't be happy, but
It
actually,
probably helps break that tide, doesn't it? If you
Oh,
can see
yeah.
a load of people who are poor and happy,
oh yeah,
it kind of gives you that whole
Well,
thing
this
when
is
people
what-
say money doesn't buy happiness.
This is what everyone says. Health isn't wealth, is it? You don't have to have money to be happy.
very, very
It's all
true.
the other stuff that people overlook. And
So what are schools like South Africa was?
Well, obviously, I grew up in showing my age a little bit, in apartheid.
Okay.
Going back. So you had the white schools, and then you had the township schools, and I still remember. Well, I still remember. Bulelani's one of my best mates.
Mm.
He was the first black kid I sat next to. Very strange. When you say that, it sounds
It
weird,
sounds
but
weird,
it's bonkers.
yeah.
I was 12 or 13 when that happened, and that is
Wow.
surreal. When you say this to like my daughter and stuff,
Yeah.
they're like, "What do you mean?" Like, we had the segregation and you had this and they had their...
But even when you think about it, I mean, I would say South Africa's like 90% predominantly.
Oh, yeah. 87% is...
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
And yet you were 12, 13 before you properly sat down next to and spoke to.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, he was the best man one of my best men at my wedding. Yeah, he's a brilliant guy, and I'd catch up with him and go to Cape Town, but he's a bit surreal. So yeah, the schools, the education I'd say I got was equivalent, like it's called Model C school.
Okay.
Kind of like grammar school-ish, kind of. But in South Africa, they have one rule, generally, when I was growing up, you have to play sport. You have to play a winter sport and you have to play a summer sport.
Yep.
Those are your, that is like drilled into you. It's not like an option. And chess qualifies as a sport.
Okay.
So, but that's, you got to give all the levels. So yes. So I went to school there but then went to uni.
Okay.
Over there, obviously didn't become a fighter pilot because I wear contacts. You can't become a fighter pilot if you haven't got good enough eyes. So my maths marks went a little bit off the cliff after I couldn't qualify before becoming a pilot. And then I remember going to university and going, what is a chartered accountant? Like, I just didn't have a clue what a chartered accountant was because my family were not, they were lovely people, but they weren't highly educated, like degrees or anything like that. So like I was the first one stepping into that fold, and it was just, oh, what's this, a chartered accountant? I was like, become an architect or become a chartered accountant, and then just went in and become a chartered accountant, as you do, and then 7 years later became one.
So
I never knew. Did you know that about Gary? I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I mean, we've only spoken like hundreds of times.
I've only spoken to Gary for the last, how many years?
Yeah, so become a CA and chartered accountant in South Africa, you have to do a degree, an honours degree, and then you qualify to sit the accountancy exams.
So what made you think, and by the way, I've got 100 good answers for this one, but I won't use them. It's like inside line. So what made you think to go like, this was your plan? Why did you decide to do that?
I always wanted to do business or get into business. And I knew I was good at numbers.
Okay. So you were similar to me in terms of, what's the subject I do well at school? Yeah. Maths. If you want to find a job that does maths, accountancy feels like top of the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Well, yeah, exactly. That or engineering was, I actually had that discussion with my daughter over the weekend. We were talking about what she wanted to do, and engineering. I was like, I should have gone into that. But then I went, actually, I love my life. And I said, I love what I do for a living.
Yeah.
But it's a long, like I say, it's the journey. The journey was different. Let's put it that way. But I was really like primary school, top of the class, head boy type of thing. And then, as I said, my maths marks kind of died when I discovered I couldn't become a fighter pilot.
Would you say as well that obviously at school, if they're forcing you, and I'd say force, it sounds such a horrible thing, but they're encouraging you to go, you pick up your winter sport, you pick up your summer sport.
Yeah.
They're encouraging competitiveness.
It's very much in the South African culture. You compete for anything.
But me personally, I think it's a really good thing. And I think that a lot of it has been lost in today's society.
I 100% agree. Because you don't get participation medals for going for a job interview.
Yeah.
Like and what I do, you're competing against other practitioners, you're competing against other people. As professionals, you're competing against
every day at work. You are in competition. As much as you might not realise it, you're in competition to get the job. You're in competition against your colleagues, for promotions and things. You're in competition when you decide to go out on your own against every other business that's out there. You're always competing.
Yep, always competing.
And yet, at school they go, well, let's not worry about it. Let's give you a pat on the back for, becoming seventh, and here's a little medal that's the same as going first.
Yeah, and also I think you learn from losing. I think you learn a lot more from getting your butt handed to you in a game, because you actually learn, it's character building.
Yeah.
And actually, I distinctly remember getting absolutely spanked and I played hockey. And we got and we were a good, decent team. This is my final year at high school, and I think they pumped us like 12-0 or something like that. They were just, because I was playing on grass and then playing on Astro, and it's like we weren't used to playing on Astro, and it's a completely different game. And we just got spanked. But you learn from those kind of, it's character building, because
you learn way more from losing than you do from winning.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, winning, you don't want to have that feeling again. So you're going to go out and make sure.
Yeah.
I
don't like losing. As a South African, it's like built into you, just don't like losing. And also, so one thing I don't like being told is like, oh, you can't do that. You can't achieve that. And I go, hold my beer.
Watch this.
Let's just watch this, hold my beer. And so it's a challenge accepted. But yeah, so it is competitive in South Africa, is very competitive. Going to become a chartered accountant, I think it was 1,000 people who started my degree, become a chartered accountant. And I think in the end, there was 26 of us.
Wow.
That qualified as chartered accountants. And it's a massive drop off.
Yeah.
So and the interesting fun fact.
You have to balance it because you've said chartered accountant about 38 times.
Yeah.
So now we've got to balance it with some fun facts.
Fun fact. They did an analysis in my final year at uni of the top performers and correlated. We're going into maths and numbers here, but correlated it against your high school. We call it matric, or your final grade at high school. And everybody else fell in within a standard deviation. Like you did well in English and maths, you did well at audit and accountancy.
Mm-hmm.
There was one person who was 2 standard deviations away from the norm. That would be me.
Yeah.
And I remember going, because I got, and I think it was a D or an E for maths. And exactly. And then I was in the top 10.
It goes to say you don't need to be great at maths.
Well, you do.
Here's the thing, and I'll help Gary with this one.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to be good at maths, but you don't have to be good at exams. And if Gary had decided that he's become disillusioned because contacts, no fighter pilot, don't care, not trying,
100%.
I mean, I can relate to this because I remember I was forecast to go straight A's in anything that involved maths. I had to do my mock maths GCSE a year early and beat everyone from the year above for their GCSEs. And then I went, that's great, I don't have to try anymore, and just got totally disillusioned and ended up getting a B in maths. And it was quite funny because I went to do maths and further maths at sixth form. And my maths teacher, they said, but we'll only let people do this for straight A maths students. And my maths teacher had to write in to go, look, it's an exception, it's a blip on his record. This guy's smarter than anyone else we've had in the class. Anyone who's got an A, this is your guy. And they made the exception for me.
And I think that's exactly it. I mean, I remember I didn't even study for the exam. I literally was the day before I started studying. And it's like, that's...
And I think it's very motivational as well for people to understand that actually, they have this thing and so much pressure's on them for their GCSEs and their A-levels and everything, and go, if I fail this, my life's over. Yeah. But if you have a look at Gary and go, look, I've failed maths and yet ended up being one of the top maths professions that you can do.
Yeah, there you go.
And so all the time that you were doing this, was it work at the same time, or was it just all pure study?
I did stuff. I say stuff like,
that sounds so dodgy.
Well, haven't you met me?
You got to pay your bills somehow, right?
I did stuff.
That's a whole different show.
I just had money. Yeah. No, I did part-time work, but I didn't there wasn't a full-time role or something like that. I did cricket coaching. I played cricket, so I did some cricket coaching. I did slot cars. They were like big, scale electrics, but it's a lot bigger than that, like 10 times the size of a scale electric track, that type of thing. But kind of did work doing stuff like that.
Are the cars still the same size or?
Bit bigger, bigger. And they go a little zippier. But, I kept myself busy. But my parents were lucky enough to be able to afford the government basically pays for or subsidized your university.
Yeah.
And I basically had to deal with my parents. Like if I failed an exam, I'd have to pay for it the next year. And I made sure I never failed an exam. The entire time I was at uni. So and then I got a bursary to go do my honours from EY.
Right.
As you do. And the reason I got into, one of the reasons, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I played cricket. I opened batting with one of the partners at
EY.
There you go. You get an interview and you just and I'm very competitive, so I played decent level of cricket and played hockey as well. Lost my front teeth in hockey, as you do. That was an interesting experience. Second year at university without any front teeth. My mates, were very kind. They only made me laugh in front of all the pretty girls.
Actual gaps.
Literally, these front teeth.
Oh,
gone. Wow. This is a bridge. But
but people don't understand that at school nowadays. Again, it was so typical, and I think it probably maybe show my age as well. But when you went to school, you knew that if you eat, and this is the thing, I always laugh about it with people at work because they go, "No, you didn't." Even if you had a bad haircut, you were going to get ridiculed. If you had a haircut, you were going to get ridiculed.
Yep.
If you had anything that made you stand out from anyone else, and it didn't matter what it was, you got ridiculed for it.
If you had the wrong trainers, the wrong
Ridiculed.
Well, to be honest, I can advance that now. In my group of friends, that is pretty much still going to continue. Literally just like there's abuse.
Yeah, it's male banter, right?
Literally, if you hear some, like my good mates, if you actually heard the conversation, you'd think we hate each other. But it's just abuse that's going back and forth.
I think it's that generation, and the generation is you can always tell the people you like because they're the ones you give shit to.
Exactly. And the thing
that's
is...
That's definitely different with girls. We don't do that.
Well, yeah,
you miss out.
Love you to each other and, to your face.
I'm here for you.
Whereas the type of friends I want, and the type of friends I think I have, is they'll be absolutely merciless in front to your face, but actually say he's a good guy.
But they'll be the people who've always got your back.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. So I've got good mates like Scott Porter from Ellison's and Scott here in my office. You know Scott.
Yeah.
So they're very the abuse we give each other, but then we know we've got each other's back. Yeah. It's one of those weird things. And actually, I think we've lost that, because if you have that from your mates and somebody drops a C-bomb on you, we call it, and he's like, that's like an average day.
Yeah.
And like, to be honest, the level of abuse you get as an insolvency practitioner, I once had a letter and I kept it. It's somewhere in my house. Literally, it's the level of insult. It's like, I think it was, Gary's a known charlatan and a proven imbecile. So I went, that's the level of insult I want. I want it literally, it's like, oh, he knows me.
That is what I'm aiming for, yeah.
Like, oh, he's met me, I don't know you met me before.
I've achieved it.
You've achieved the pinnacle. But, that's what you have to take.
So what, I mean, we're going to come on to insolvency, because actually, bizarrely enough, as much as people think it's going to be a really dull subject, even by the time this is done, I'm going to ask Jem a question to see whether or not I'm going to teach you a new side of insolvency.
Okay.
But it's so totally different to what you think it is. Massively. And Gary helped me learn this. And as time goes on, you'll understand. So you've obviously got like top pinnacle. So you've got one of the big firms of accountants paying your bursary for you to go on. You're there. You've got an in with one of the partners, or probably one of the senior partners.
Yep.
So what made you go, I've decided that I'm going to go into insolvency instead? Or did you do it with EY?
Well, no, I didn't do it with EY. What happened was, this is where the journey starts. So I qualified as a chartered accountant in South Africa. And then this was September 2004, showing my age.
Did it at age 3?
Exactly. I look so
age 3, exactly.
Just really smart.
Yeah.
Sheldon version 2.
That's why he couldn't be a fighter pilot. He couldn't see over the stick. Yeah,
exactly. So the partner walked in and he said, "What are you doing for the next 3 months?" And I said, "Nothing." It's like, "Do you want to go to Canada?" I went, "Yeah, I'll go to Canada." He said,
Yes, you do.
"You did go. You just got married, didn't you?" And I went, "Yeah, she'll be fine with it." I mean, I'm happily divorced now as well, obviously. But we actually, I had an amicable divorce.
Not because of the Canada
Not
trip.
because of the Canada trip.
She's still waiting on South Africa for him to come back.
I didn't mention that, yeah. So, so I went to Canada. So I had to get an emergency passport from South African Home Office, which, took a while, but then flew to Canada. Supposed to be there for 8 weeks, stayed for 3.5 months.
Wow.
They wanted me to come home, and I was like, listen, and I did kind of after about 2 months I just went, we'd like you to stay for an extra bit. I've just got married. I'd like to actually go home and see my wife. And they said, well, fly over. So they flew over and put up in a 4-star hotel with me. She could eat what she wanted. Literally, I worked like an absolute dog, but they were billing something like $1 million a day on this job. It was Nortel Telecommunications, which was this massive project that we were working on. So I got a secondment there, and then this was back end of 2004, and then I got a secondment to come to the UK and work on the just-in-time program, which is doing audit, and as much as, audit is one of those, I couldn't do it. It's the green and red pens and just checking other people's work.
Backwards ticks.
I just did my head in. I did it, and I got another secondment to come here for 3 months to the UK, and then pretty much just stayed, really. Okay. No, just don't tell the Home Office.
I was going to say, did you
just don't.
It's all right. Just throw your passport. No, that's way too scandalous. Yeah. So your wife came with you, or she's still waiting in Canada?
She came with.
She's still in the hotel in Canada.
She's still in the hotel in Canada. They're still paying the bill.
Yeah.
So came across here, and then I think I had a job offer in Canada, a job offer here, and then nothing in South Africa. So I was like, well, where do I want to go? So I just stayed here in the UK, and pretty much the swaying decision to stay here rather than Canada is Canada's an extra flight, and it's 7 hours different, and they don't play cricket. Okay. So that was, and I love the English countryside. I fell in love with the English countryside.
And obviously the weather here.
Oh, the weather's amazing. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, there's a saying in South Africa, it's called Mud Island in South Africa, because they're like, does the sun shine in the UK? Because it always just rains. I'm like, yeah, it does shine.
We do have a month or so.
Yeah, my brother-in-law, it must have been about 2 years ago when South Africa toured, and one of his mates plays for South Africa, and he was like, why are they wearing jumpers? I mean, it's supposed to be your summer. I said, it's cold. It's like, that's why. It's like 14 degrees. It's a summer's day, but it's still 14.
Yeah.
So I came here, got a contract, worked with EY, and then decided after about a year of doing the BP audit, the BP audit was, you literally just did the BP audit. And when you do audit, you normally have a change in.
I was going to say that must just be like a non-stop thing.
It is a non-stop
because all the ones I did. So when I was learning, we had a lot of the hauliers.
Yeah.
So it would be like, off to Trelawney House for another 2 weeks at Convent, and then you come back.
That's
and then
exactly it. You do 2 weeks, you do 3 weeks.
A couple of times away, and then you go back for another 3 weeks because you've got another one to do.
You do that. I mean, there, Sarbanes-Oxley came in. I don't remember. That came in, and it was just, because the audit is so massive, what you're doing is you have to do internal control testing, and it's just a constant process. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Even when you think about sample testing, so like we'd go and sample and go, yeah, look, they've got a fleet of 19 trucks. Yeah. We'll go along and pick out the 5 highest values, and then we'll randomly do it. So you go and look at 8 trucks. You're looking at BP. You're like, oh yeah, let's have a look at their fixed asset register and go. Well, that's the first 3 months done.
Yeah, because there's all these subsidiaries. There's just some.
Oh, that's insane.
So after doing it for a year, I wanted to stab myself with a pen.
Yeah,
I decided I needed to move, and then went into corporate finance.
Okay.
So I got a job working for Mazars, which is now Mazars. It used to be Mazars Neville Russell.
Okay.
Neville Russell.
I only remember it as Mazars.
So it's Mazars, and now they've been taken over by Forvis. But so I worked for a chap there who was very charismatic, and I went, I like this guy. He's really charismatic. Really, he's got gift, the gab, if I put it that way. He could just chat to anybody. It's like, this is a guy I want to speak, to spend my time with and learn from. So I went into corporate finance. Was doing that for a bit, and then the credit crunch happened.
2008.
2007, 2008. Yeah. And nobody wanted to do leverage buyouts with no security. So all of a sudden, my job was a little bit precarious.
I love that. If you just see the body language, it's like, no one wants to play with me anymore.
Well, pretty much. Throw my crayons down. But I did get a secondment into industry.
Okay.
So I got a secondment with Mazars, and I went into, I think, Yates. It's called this, I think it's now Stonegate. They own the Yates, Latuska, Slug and Lettuce. So 300 pubs. Okay. And I was like the proverbial pig in shit.
Yeah. I can think of worse places to have to visit.
Yeah. I had to do once a month.
Pub now.
Yeah.
Once a month we had to do a site visit and like a mystery visit. It was great.
Yeah.
And 50 quid goes a long way to Yates, I can tell you that. Wow. Slug and Lettuce didn't last as much, but 50 quid at Yates was,
what do you have to do? Try and break out halfway through to write your report? Because by the time you've done 50 quid at Yates, you're in no fit state to do it.
Yeah, so I liked it there because I had lots of I like data. I like Excel. I'm an accountant. I can geek out. I could sit for hours and look at Excel reports and play with Excel and write algorithms and all that type of stuff and formulas and macros. I love that. So much data. It's just
this is like porn to me right now.
I could geek out on this for hours. But so I did that. Sort of did a secondment in industry, loved it, and then came out. I was made redundant, and then went, what do I do now? I did remember sitting in HR, and the HR was like, we're going to do this. We're going to make you redundant, and you're going to get 3 months' notice. We're going to make you redundant pretty much now. And I was like, you do realize I have to leave the country in 7 days if you do that? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm foreign. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm on a work permit. He's
Do
like,
I sound like you?
Exactly. And my accent hadn't softened as much as it had now. So I was like, oh, goodness. So I literally had to get a highly skilled work permit. And I still remember sitting in the office, my partner's office, because he wasn't in. So I was sitting, calling the solicitor, because they specialised in getting a highly skilled work permit. And I felt my entire world collapse. It literally, it went like that, because I remember sitting there and went, they just raised the requirement from having a degree, you had to have a master's. I don't have a master's.
Oh.
I've only got an honours degree and I'm a chartered accountant. Yeah. And I still remember having this, and I went, are you sure about this? And then should I get the expert in, wielding the expert? And yeah, I still remember that to this day. Literally, it was just like your entire world. I've been here for five years or something like that. Yeah. And it's like everything you're building, everything, it's like my entire world's just collapsed. So then you fast forward a few minutes and the guy says, oh no, you're a chartered accountant that qualifies as a master according to this. I'm like,
relief.
I can breathe now again. But so when you take it back to what I do for a day job, I've been in that position. I have had, your life is just, your rug's just been pulled from underneath you. So I have that empathy. It's not sympathy, it's empathy. I've been in your position.
Yeah.
And more importantly, I've been in your position where I have to leave the country if this goes that way. So, I can relate. So, kind of long story short, cost me like $2,500 to get a highly skilled work permit, and then stayed at Mazars and moved into the business recovery team. So, didn't actually need it. Which really, just spending $2,500.
The life is about to end, and go, oh yeah, don't worry about it. We'll just move you.
So, moved me to business recovery, and absolutely loved it. I mean, it took me a while to get into it because, was a chartered accountant. Then moved into corporate finance, was doing that for a bit. So I've had two kind of, not careers, but kind of experiences. Kind of not lost years, because now that I look back and I go, it's not lost years. It was more just, I was getting experience. And I saw other people getting promoted, and you have that, everybody's just going there because they're in the same area they've qualified in, and they're going quite quickly. And I'm going a little bit slower, but then I'm going, well, I'm getting a wide range of experience.
Yeah.
Now looking back at that, I can have that thing. So now, and then I went into business recovery, which I absolutely love doing, just because corporate finance is very long tail. You have to take it takes 18 months to sell a business in a company. There's a lot of toing and froing and back and forth with corporate finance. I mean, business recovery is, you got to make a decision, you got to do stuff.
Yeah.
You got to, I just thought this is far more what I'm, my bag. As you do.
Mm-hmm. So, I think that's probably, and it's a great segue into this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I want to talk about, because, I think everyone understands, like, McTeer Williams, they're insolvency practitioners, and, it's like the grim reaper of business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which the reality is, it actually isn't. And I'll explain why. So, by the way, I'm not being paid by McTeer Williams to do this. I'm just going to call it as it is. If they were a load of shit, I'd call that out as well, and then just risk getting sued. But the thing that you find with insolvency practitioners is that everyone always understands, the word insolvency. What they don't see is it's actually business rescue. Now, that business rescue may well be someone, it's almost like a psychiatrist or something else like that. Someone's going to have the weight of the world on their shoulders, and they can go and see a business recovery or a business rescue person, / insolvency expert. And that solution may well be, don't worry about it. You can write that off. Yeah, actually, don't worry about it. There's a way to trade out of it.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, we can put the creditors into an agreement. Yeah. All the stuff that's actually causing massive sleepless nights, and, that point where, people are kind of going, I don't know where to turn to.
When you're in it, you can't see a way out, can you? Everything just feels...
And to sit down with an insolvency expert or a business recovery expert, actually they're going to go, there's like 4 or 5 things.
Yeah.
And I've seen it before where, we've had clients come to us and they've said, like, my old accountant said I've got to find £7,000 and I've got to do this by this, and I don't know how I'm going to find £7,000, and I don't know what the consequences are, so I think HMRC are going to come in and just arrest me, and this, and it's like, it's not a big deal. But there's a really easy solution.
Yeah.
And you show them a solution. It's like, well, hang on, why has no one else told me that? I don't know. Because
You must
they don't know,
get
maybe.
people coming in with the weight of the world and then leaving feeling very, okay, that I can see the light now.
I want to say that
you must see that contrast.
I see that contrast. And the one always sticks with me is a company that was here. I won't mention names just because, it's individuals, not the company.
Otherwise, you'll get sued by
it's more to do with it's the person. It's no slight on them. It's just I don't know what people want publicity, but it was a sporting goods place here in Suffolk, and I still remember walking in there, and he was white, as white as a piece of paper, literally just like. And he had the weight of the world. This is generational business. His grandfather set it up, and it's been trading for 40, 50 years. And he's taken it over, but the internet has absolutely just destroyed it.
Yeah.
He's not moved with the times because people aren't, that way inclined. It's a different animal that's changed. But I remember he was
many people have that thing of going, if you carry on doing what we've always done,
you'll be fine.
We'll always have the result. And it's like, no, you've got to keep.
You got to change.
Evolving.
You got to change. And I remember seeing him as white. Had a chat with him. 6 months later, see him again, and you see that difference. The weight of the world, because that's my role. It's like, I'm here, let me take the burden.
Yeah.
That's my job.
Yeah.
Like, you engage us, formally. I mean, I always give the options, and I always chat through people through their solutions, and I always give them the options. And so there's always options.
Yeah.
They might not be palatable, but they're the options. I
think that's the most important thing.
These are your options.
Yeah, if you can't see the shit through what am I trying to say?
Come through the woods for the trees?
That one. I don't know why I'm using the word shit.
You've mixed that with the shit hitting the fan.
Shit hitting the fan, well.
When you can't see that, you need
can't
someone
see the
to
shit
say
in the
that
woods.
you have these X, Y, and Z. These are what you can do.
Yeah.
Just to give someone that calm to,
Because I do have that where people, we talk about the number one things, we're sleepless nights. So you have warning signs, and I do a presentation about this, but one of them is a warning sign. He's like, if somebody's having sleepless nights, they should come speak to me.
Yeah.
And because we don't charge for initial advice, so it's just like there's no obligation. I don't feel beholden to me. Just I'll give you the advice. And sometimes you give the people the options, and you say, well, there's this option over here. It's only 44 quid, and I'm like, oh, I can't do that. I owe people money. No, just write to them and explain the situation, and that's the option. So, or at the other end, it's like you could pay me, but I don't see the point in you paying me because you could achieve the same outcome.
Yeah. But that's the thing.
Quid.
That sounds like and this was, again, I love this. It's like we're almost like we're pre-rehearsed. Eventually we'll sound professional, Jem. I did tell you this on episode 1 that eventually we'll get the hang of this.
We're only up to episode 40. Now we sound good.
However, exactly that happened in the last 6 weeks. So I had someone call me up because they'd spoken to someone else, and someone else had said, oh, hang on, if it's involving money or anything else like that, or a business, just call Nick. And they called me and they said, look, I think I'm going to have to do this. And I said, right, first of all, I have to start off. I'm not an insolvency expert. I can't give you, guidance or anything else like that because I'm going to be breaking laws and FCA regs and what have you. But let's just talk it through, and at least then I can work out who's the right person to go and see. So we spoke through it and we had a chat through it. And I said to him, I said, look, ultimately, I said, you can either try and trade or don't. If you're going to trade, then trade. But remember, it's going to be, how you feel today, you're still going to feel tomorrow. I said, or I'm going to give you a telephone number to call. Have a chat with this guy. I said, but I'm going to make it a warning to you. Ultimately, even in a simple case, it's still going to be a few thousand quid. So just be prepared. Don't pick up the phone and waste his time if you're not prepared to pay the fee.
Yeah.
But his initial consultation is free. And he spoke to Gary and he rang me back about 10 days later. And he said, Nick, he said, there's a couple of things I need to tell you. He said, firstly, the guy who gave me your number, I'm really pleased with. He said, I've always liked him. He's been a great guy. He really helped me out with some IT issues, not for money, but because it's the right thing to do. He said, I then phoned you. He said, and you've done exactly the same with me and given me another telephone number. And he said, and the person you told me to phone, he said, you are way off on their fees. And I said, hang on a second. Have they really upped their fees this badly? And he said, he told me 44 quid. And I went, what? And he went, yep. He's kind of given me the route. He's given me the guidance. The weight of the world is off me. He said, my accountant's getting a letter. He said, because they need to do one. I'm going to come over to you. He said, but I can't thank you enough. And yeah, the number I gave him was Gary's.
Yeah, because not everybody needs to go down the formal route, the formal insolvency route, and that's kind of where we
I mean, by the way, please don't everyone get into trouble in your business. And we need a bit of caveat.
No, exactly.
Don't get in trouble with your business and talk to Gary and he tells you 44 quid.
Yeah, it's not quite 44 quid. It's not our fees. That's just the government fee for striking a company off. But there's a route in place for that. And I think that's where people, and always give people the options.
Yeah, it just
and I go,
goes
these
back
are your
to that.
options.
Yeah.
These are your options. And these are the costs. And I go, it's your choice. You can choose whichever way you want to go. And I've had people go, no, I want to use you. I go, fine. That's how much it costs. And they're like,
but also what works for someone isn't going to work.
Exactly.
Every scenario is different.
Everybody's different. And some people, I never listen to it. I never see them again, or they go to another competitor. Fine. I've got no problem with that. Because as we know, different personalities.
So how would you deal? I've got a question. How would you deal with someone who cries? If you put a crier in front of Nick, leaves the room, and I'm having to go in. He's like, oh, Jem, I've got a crier, come in. He doesn't deal with it. How are you good with...
Hang on, can we point out I'm not heartless, I'm just awkward.
No, you're not. Yeah, you are very awkward.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, Jen, there's someone with emotion. I'm not dealing with this.
You're the most kindest caring, but you generally are.
Yeah.
And that wasn't rehearsed either. But yeah, when it comes, some people are not good with that. But you must see that a lot, I'm guessing.
Well, there's a few things. So when you meet a director or that type of situation, and then you're dealing with employees, those are different. So, but in dealing with directors, I do make people cry. Not because just as they're walking the door.
Just when you say hello.
Not him.
Hi, I'm Gary.
I just burst into tears.
They walk in. Right, there you go. You've been slapped. No,
but I think it's the reality hits them.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're just going to give people space. Mm-hmm. So I'm used to that. So you just chat them through. So that's completely fine. If you need a minute, not a problem. I'm here. If you need me to leave. I'm there. You have the whole plethora of human emotion in that sense.
Yeah.
Well, you don't get anger mostly, but that's normally with employees, because employees, believe me, as I said, I've been made redundant, so I understand the feeling. So, but also I know, and these little subtle tricks you have to do. So when you about to go and make people redundant, you don't park your car right outside the entrance. You park it about 2 blocks away and then walk in, just because people react out of character.
Yeah.
And I've seen people obviously cry. I've seen people get really angry. I've seen, and people lash out.
Well, in that moment, you're not thinking about...
Do you find the majority of the time people are looking for someone to blame?
People are...
Whether it's you or the director. I mean, at the end of the day...
director, but you're the one there standing in front of them sometimes. It depends on the type of insolvency process, but sometimes you're just the bearer of bad news.
Which is really sad, because you've got some of these business owners and directors have put blood, sweat and tears into this business.
You can
and
literally
employers probably don't realise they might have gone months without paying themselves or all this other stuff.
They could be $500,000 in debt, about to lose their house, about to lose everything, and someone else
staff have no idea.
And a staff member's about to go, by the way, you're out of a job, but don't worry about it, because you're going to get your holiday, you're going to get your redundancy, you're going to get your notice.
Yeah.
It's all going to come from a government-backed pot anyway.
Yeah.
And you can tomorrow go and get yourself another job.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, the director that you're really angry at, and it's all his fault, is in the red
pieces.
for $500,000, £1 million about to lose his house.
Yeah,
I know you're going to go and slash his tyres.
Yeah. Some people don't react very well to it. I'd say the vast majority of people understand. I mean, most directors, and I can sit here and I can say 90% of directors are trying to do the right thing. They're trying to do good with it by the employees. And one recently, I spoke about a month just after the New Year, and sat there, and he said his accountant referred him to me, came to have a chat, sat in the office, and I could see the moment he went, he's going to put it into liquidation, because we were talking about staff. I was like, obviously the redundancy payment service will step in and pay the staff to pay this, because he'd been funding redundancies over the last, and he's stuck in about 400 grand. So it's not of his own money.
Yeah.
And his accountant said, before you stick in another 50, go chat to this guy.
Yeah.
And I always say, when you're about to put money in, that's like my thing. Anytime you're about to put money into a company, come and chat to me.
Yeah.
Because even if it's in a good place, you still want to chat to me, because there's ways of doing that you don't put yourself in a worse position. So, and I remember sitting there with this guy, and you could see a light bulb go off in his face and in his eyes, and you can go, okay, he's now gone, actually, I don't need to fund this.
Yeah.
Because he's just been funding to trade it because he's worried about his staff.
Oh.
And he's generally worried about and you get a lot of that where people are generally worried about their staff because in order to get paid, and that's mainly the driver for going into liquidation, because you don't get it if you get struck off. The company gets struck off the register, you don't get redundancy. The only way you have to get a number are going into liquidation. And that's the main driver for liquidations is the staff going to get paid.
Yeah.
And, I feel sorry for staff, but also I do feel for the directors, because like you say, they put their blood, their sweat, their tears. And I remember the one manager of a restaurant turned around and said to me, well, that's their problem. And I just like, this person just lost £250,000 of their own money, and they're trying to do the right thing by you, and you just don't care.
Yeah.
I just went, fair enough. But then going back to the employees, I've had people be very aggressive as employees, and you just got to take it as professionals. You just got to take it, and we just bear the brunt of it. And I still remember this about 3 or 4 months later, it all passed and they'd been paid and everything. And the employee calls me up and says, thank you, I really appreciated it. And I said, and then he was actually goes, I'm really sorry for how I behaved. So, and I just still remember having this conversation. I said, don't worry about it.
It's in the moment,
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand the situation. It's an emotional time. Completely understand. That's what we get paid to do. You got to take it. You can't do my job and not be able to take a bit of aggressive behavior by people, or people being a bit not controversial, adversarial. And you got to take it because people are going to push back. So it does take a certain type of person to do insolvency, because you have to have that human emotion. And I think most IPs I know, a lot of the guys I know that I compete with are of the same ilk.
Yeah.
I know, like even the guy I know locally, I know he's going to give pretty much the same advice I'm going to give. Mm-hmm. Slightly different firm, and they'll definitely want their money up front type of thing, but he'll give the right advice.
Yeah.
He'll definitely give the right advice, and he's a good man. And I think says a lot about the industry in general.
I think if nothing else, you've probably, and again, I think it's a nice thing to be able to do, that what you've actually done is, I would imagine, of the billions of listeners that we have, I think there's going to be quite a billions, obviously. Yeah, billions and billions of listeners that we have.
The world.
We've gone up since last week. We had like thousands.
Millions
now we're up to
whatever. But I think that there's going to be people out there that are sitting there and going, hang on a second, I just had to put $5,000 into my business. I just had to put $10,000 into my business. I had to do this, or times are a bit tough. And they can feel very isolated and very alone. Yeah. But actually, I think from hearing you, it allows them to be able to go, actually, do you know what? I need to call this guy.
And sadly, it happens a lot. It's
a very isolating and very lonely place being a director sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I can relate to it in that sense. So, in terms of life, we can go into specifics you want, but in terms of I've been low. I've been in dark place, not dark places. It's not really the right place, but when rock meets bottom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there. Now I remember when I got divorced. My stuff wouldn't even fill half this room. I was living, and I was like, I'm 32 years old. I'm a chartered accountant. What am I doing?
This is not how
this is not what my life should be like.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to take it on the chin, and you kind of learn. And there's this, and I like people who've been through those type of experiences, because it builds character. It builds character. And actually, I don't like perfect people. I like people who have got a bit of, they've had some tough times in their lives. People have never had any issues in their life, and they've glided through until our age. Not my age. That's more appropriately. I'm not looking at the two of you. I know what my age is, but getting into my age, and you sort of.
But I was trying to do the maths on when you were talking about stuff, and I'm like, no, I think we're talking about our age.
Yeah.
If not, I might be
definitely not my age.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, you're like 20, 24.
25 this year.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. We won't talk about transposition errors. Anyway, So, okay, Gary, I'm going to ask you a few quick fire questions.
Of course.
What's the biggest misconception in your industry?
I'd say that with the undertakers, because you mentioned earlier about business rescue. Because people say to me, how many companies have you saved? And I said, I haven't saved many companies. Saved a lot of businesses. And they're like, well, it's the same thing, isn't it? I was like, no, it's not. Completely different. I think that's the biggest misconception. Come to us early and actually can potentially save your business.
Mm-hmm.
But if you come to me, the bailiff's at the door, what am I going to do? My hands are kind of tied in this sense. So business rescue, you can save the business. And I'm doing it at the moment with a few people where they're buying the business back. There's ways of doing that. It's completely legitimate. You just got to do it in a certain way that you're completely above board. But there's businesses that are going to continue with employees, and every situation is different. And that's what I love about the job, because not every single job's the same. It's going back to the BP audit, that was just monotonous, and you're just doing the same job over and over and over again. And I always used to say, trained monkeys could do my job. Business audit, you just got to follow the ticks, just follow the audit program, and that's all you're doing. Whereas you have to think about what we do, because every situation might be very similar, but I always sit there with the director. What do you want?
Yeah, but there's different variables. The director's different. Yeah, somebody
goes, I just want to jack it in. I just want to close it down right now. Don't care. Just want to move on. My son, or I want to do it again. I want to go again, or my wife would like to take it over, or somebody else is interested in buying the business. And every situation is different. So that misconception is like it's the end point, but it's not the end point. It depends. What do you want? And if you come to us early, potentially there's something there to rescue.
We can avoid you getting to that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next one. Under 20 words. Piece of advice you could give to someone who's currently struggling in their business.
Go and see Gary. I can do it in 4 words.
Yeah.
Go and see Gary.
Well, I'd see a professional. See a good accountant.
Yeah.
See a good accountant. Yeah. A good accountant will push you in the right direction.
Hashtag RSZ accountancy.
RSZ accountancy. There you go. Because not all accountants are created equal.
Correct.
Not every RP is created equal.
I couldn't agree more. I think the more you see it in like professions, when you're outside of that profession, you think that, if you give your taxes to 5 different accountants, you'll get the same answer 5 times. And it's like, you definitely won't.
Definitely won't.
And I would imagine the same thing happens with insolvency or business rescue. You go along and give you give the same scenario to different people, you're going to get, different business rescue experts.
Yeah.
And each one of them will see it slightly differently.
Yeah. And you've got to think outside the box. And I think when you're as a director, you sitting there, you've only got, you've got an opinion of one. You've got you've got directors who've been running a business for years, and they can't. This is what I think. Well, have you got other people to bounce ideas off? Because that's what I like in my firm and the circle of professionals I work with. As I can pick up a phone and say, I've got an idea. What about this? Or I haven't thought about this. What do you think? And
that's
I know
we always count ourselves lucky, don't we? Yeah. Me, myself, Nick, and Natasha, we're all very different. So when we have an idea or we have, what should we do about this? We all look at it from a very different perspective.
Yeah,
and I think that's so important.
Or I come up with ideas and you two shit on them.
We
and
just
go,
say, no, that's not happening, Nick.
Yeah, that pretty much happens.
No, it's not happening, Nick.
You've got to know what you're good at. So also, go see an accountant. Also go figure out what you're not good at and get somebody else to help you with that.
Yeah.
Because I know what I'm good at. I also know what your element. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's talking about follow your passion. Don't follow your passion because you do what you're passionate about. So but you always got to do something you're good at. And it's going to make you money.
I'm also going to full circle this as well, back for Gary.
Yeah.
If I had to do the same thing, if someone came to me and said, my business is in the shit, other than go talk to Gary.
Go talk to Gary. Always.
The other thing that, I'd want to drill into people is to say, and, you'll like this because we're going back to Gary's school, failure is not a bad word.
Yeah.
It's actually an amazing lesson. And I don't know what the statistics are, but I can, I know there are many, 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 many millionaires, super successful business people. Mm-hmm. And this is their effort number 6 after what people would deem to be 5 failures, but they consider to be 5 valuable lessons.
Oh, and
we not say it all the time. Like, your biggest strength is to recognize your weakness. And then get someone else
this is the thing with the business. There's only 2 options, right? People will call it success or failure.
Mm-hmm.
I'll call it success or learning.
Learning, yeah.
And also, there's a phrase always, or a saying, I don't know where it's quoted or attributable to, but the one says,
We'll attribute it to you anyway now.
It took 20 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people see the result of all the work that you've put in, but actually they haven't learnt the road that you've been on. They just see the end result.
Oh, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
We'll attribute this one. I heard this one. I think this is a...
It's just summed up our podcast.
We'll say that Scott did it, by the way. Right? People are always envious of where you are now. They're not envious of the 30 years it took to get you there.
Yeah, exactly. I think that
and the graft and what had to go into it to get where you are.
Yeah, I can relate to that, going to the gym. I can guarantee you that. I hate and love going to the gym, but it's the outcome that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you just go, well, yeah, you got to put the effort in, get the result. Yeah, and you got to put the effort in without seeing the result.
Yeah.
And I think you go to the gym once, you can't see anything.
Yeah.
Go to the gym twice, you can't see anything. Go to the gym 100 days in a row, guarantee you're going to look different. Guarantee you're going to look different.
Yeah.
But I think it's the same with business. It's the same with lots of things.
Yeah.
You do anything like that, and you're going to see the difference.
But the nice part is if you speak to the right people, you'll know those micro changes you need to make today to repeat 100 times to see the difference.
100%.
Yeah.
Amazing. Guess what? I'm done. I don't have any more questions.
Bye.
There you go.
Okay, I'll give you one final one.
Okay.
Oh.
Would you ever suggest someone should go into insolvency as a career?
Yes, I would. But you have to be... You got to understand it is a challenge.
Okay.
Every day is a challenge. Every day is different. You have to think on your feet.
Thick-skinned?
Thick-skinned. I want to say, I've kind of evolved from this. You've got to develop a thick skin, but also you got to evolve. I mean, the way I've dealt with it is not to develop a thick skin. It's like I don't get angry or don't get upset by somebody calling me a name. I just know it's different.
Mm.
So
as we said off air, all your mates do that anyway. We're from that generation.
Yeah.
And I do think that's you got to develop, rather than build thicker armor, you got to actually build something that doesn't need protecting. And I think that if you need to develop thicker armor, it's gonna fail eventually. Whereas actually, if you can't get touched,
don't take it personally.
Or if you understand people's motivation and you kind of think their motivation is just they're upset.
Yeah.
It is.
It's the edge.
You can use the 4-month story. You know, the person who was upset at the time, and 4 months later rings you up and says thank you.
Yeah, or it's like the Big Lebowski, the movie. It's like it's just your opinion, man.
Yeah,
it's just like that's what you have to think. Well, that's your opinion.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna finalize on one final point, and it's going to be hopefully uplifting. Either that, or we're going to find out Gary's a massive sadist. If you had to pick one high point of your career, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, whatever, it's that thing that touched you and went, I'm so glad I do what I do.
Oh.
Honestly, just the experience of that sporting goods guy.
Mm-hmm.
That always sticks with me, because that to me is why I do what I do. I've got a saying that I printed out. Why do I do what I do? And it's like, start with why, Simon Sinek type of guy. Why do I do what I do? And I put it up on my desk, and it's like, because I believe, and I firmly believe this, that every single stakeholder in a distressed business deserves the right advice. Said, regardless of whether they got money or not, they deserve the right advice. And that's what I firmly believe. And I sort of sit there, it's on my desk, and I go, yeah, that's why I do what I do. So that scenario, that to me, I can live on that for months, and I'm still living on that bit, just helping people.
Just to help people sleep.
Just help people.
Better.
So that's in terms of the director, but also networking and helping people.
Yeah.
Because by helping people, you develop a reputation.
Gary, thank you so much.
Nick,
awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
that's amazing.
Thank you
Cheers,
very
Gary.
much.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Fun Side of Business podcasts, brought to you by NEIT for any of your IT requirements. Why not catch Nick and Jem on the Extra Slice, available to all our subscribers? Thanks for listening.